but thanks for listening. Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 207 of We Say Things. Suns fan here with Cinderin and Saksa. Greetings, Mr. Saksa. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. And yeah.
Great to have you. But before you can speak any further, this episode, of course, is sponsored by Manscaped. Fresh ball fall is upon us, and you need to be in the festive spirit. Light a candle, get some pumpkin spice, and make sure your balls look nice with the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. Nature may clear the leaves of their trees, but you'll need Manscaped's help to get you ready for that sweater weather. Get your pants puppies prepared for cuffing season with a trim as refreshing as a fall breeze by going to manscaped.com and using We Say Things 20 for 20% off and free shipping. So thanks again to Manscaped for sponsoring this episode. If you guys need to shave your balls, which I would recommend, especially if you're really hairy or if you're even partially Middle Eastern like me, you need to do that. Just trust. And Manscaped's the best place to do that. Again, We Say Things 20, promo code at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. Also, thank you to our In Bruges tier. Cinder, do you have this open?
I do not. You're reading all of them.
I can see you don't have it open. That's why I asked. All right. Thank you to everybody on In Bruges tier. Zarzar. Honestly, I just want to hear Sin and Suns fan read my name. The Shazcast. Suns fan Sana Scrote. Mr. I Love the NBA segment. I will be out 2 weeks on vacation. Please wait until I'm back to resume our long-forgotten, most loved. Monkey Man asks, how much Schadenfreude have you two been maintaining in your veins this week with the new report system? Pepperballs, T-Coil, Rupus, Q-Lose is ready to praise the podcast, Stupid's co-pilot, D2 Bowie, Lab Dota, Yataro does it again, Cinderin, Magdev, hats off to Valve for the recent updates. Next up, marketing, ? Games for falling asleep, we'll see you in Seattle. Well, we'll see about that. Disco Farm D, The Megapope, Zan Xavier, Nate Thicko 01 Hamscroats, Shark TM, Antiquely Seasoned Goat Balls, Janie, Dop, Nothing to See Here, Underscore Man, Guitar Strings, Eve Ramort, Ben Broomhead is Ben Broomhead is Ben Broomhead, Wooden Aftertaste, Anonymous, and sadly he didn't update his name in time because we're doing this episode a little bit earlier. During the Senior Olympics in 2015, 100-year-old American Donald Pelliman sprinted 100 meters in 26.99 seconds, Mr. Niebling. Saksa, how fast can you run 100 meters?
I don't know. 13 seconds?
13? Okay.
I don't know, is that good or bad?
I don't even know what 100 meters is. So anyway, welcome to the show, Saksa. Appreciate you coming on. Before we get started again, this is the rapid fire initiation. So I'm going to give you two things, and you pick one, okay? And it's got to be quick. Historically, our guests have been really fucking slow. Can you beat them, okay?
So I just need to beat two things, that's it. Like one of the two things.
One of the two things that I say, and we just keep going down the line, okay?
Okay.
Beach or snow?
Snow.
Dressing up or dressing down?
Dressing down.
Chipotle or Zupas?
Chipotle.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
Okay, do you know what Zupas is? Do you remember?
No.
Damn it. So when Saksa was living here in the States with us briefly on DC, there was a place that you loved. It was called Cafe Zupas. It was like it had salads and soups and stuff. You have no memory of this.
No, it sounds kind of familiar, but I don't know. I just don't remember anything specifically from it.
But you love Chipotle, right?
Yeah, that I love for sure.
I can get on board with that. Okay, so anyway, Saksa, tell us why you're on the podcast, because you did something that I feel like no other player has done, which is come up to... Actually, you tell the story. What happened?
Like the one in Riyadh or what?
No. Where were we? What event was that?
Oh, in Berlin. Yeah. Berlin after party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell it.
Oh. Okay, I came up to you, I sat down, talked, and I asked, why didn't you invite me on the podcast yet?
That's right. So here you are. It's a long time coming. You got really upset, of course, when we had Quinn on before you, right? You were livid.
Yeah, really upset, for sure. Yep.
Okay.
Can't believe you did it.
So let's get started with the guest episode. So as people may or may not know, the ones that haven't watched the guest episodes, typically we'll just do a chronological order of your life and then get to more recent events. So tell us about your early life in general, like before gaming, if that's even a thing.
Well, I mean, I kind of started gaming like early, I guess you can say, because I had my first PC when I was like 3 years old. I mean, I had like an older brother, so they kind of bought the PC for him, but I also got to use it when I was like 3. So I kind of started gaming like early. Like I started playing like StarCraft. I think was the first game I ever played.
When
At
you
3?
were 3, you played StarCraft.
I mean, I don't know. It's like I was a kid. I was probably not good. I was just clicking buttons and shit. It's like, but I still played. I remember. I don't know. Other than that game, I'm really not sure what I played exactly, but that's when I started.
Was that Brood War or?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Where is this though? Macedonia?
Yep.
Okay.
Macedonia.
I need a
in
little
the States.
history lesson, by the way, because it was the first time I Googled Macedonia. I'm not gonna lie. Well, that's not true. It's called North Macedonia.
Yeah,
So
they changed the name.
So what's
They
the
changed the
history
name a
around
few
it?
years back because the Greeks don't want us to have the name Macedonia because it was like a region in Greece or whatever. There's like a bunch of political bullshit going for like 20 or 30 years now, and yeah, now they changed the name a few years back. So hopefully we can join the European Union. That's the goal, I think.
I see.
And yeah, I don't know what you want other than history. We were part of Yugoslavia like 30 years ago.
I remember
Yep.
Yugoslavia. Boy, I'm old. Okay, thank you. All right, so yeah, tell us where exactly did you grow up? What was your early life like? All that good stuff, along with
Well,
StarCraft.
Macedonia is like a small country, and even in Macedonia, I grew up in like a village. Basically, it was like a small place with like 10,000 people, and I've lived here for like most of my life. I'm here right now, and yeah,
In the same village or in Macedonia in general?
right now in the same village. Like I lived in the capital for like a few years, and I'm probably gonna live there as well. Like I bought like an apartment a while back, and I'm gonna move there soon.
Okay.
But yeah, for now I'm like at my parents' place.
And even though this is jumping the gun a bit, I'm just now that we're talking about Macedonia, you were the first Macedonian, I remember this, to qualify to TI. Did you care at all? I mean, obviously you cared about qualifying to TI, but is there any like nationalistic pride or anything like that with you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for gamers, like especially like in Dota and other stuff, like from my country, I feel like there's very few that you see coming out. Even like up until recently, there was like a CS:GO player that played the major, and other than that, I don't know, I haven't seen anyone else. So I mean, there is like a little bit of pride in that because it is a lot harder to get out here because you don't really have like, I mean, back then I didn't have like good PCs, good internet, and stuff like that, and even like connections or like people. So I feel like it was kind of harder. So I do take some pride in that.
Okay, so take us through the gaming side then. Is there any, other than StarCraft, was there anything else that you played before you got into Dota?
Yeah. I remember going to LAN cafes like super early, even like when I was like 8 years old, going to like arcades and stuff. This was like one of some older games, And I remember at some point in LAN cafes we started playing like Warcraft 3. We played like Counter-Strike, we played Quake, I think it existed back then. I don't know, we played like a lot of games, like I can't even remember all of them. But yeah, it was like mostly just the LAN cafe area, like all of these social games and Call of Duty and stuff like that.
Are you good at first-person shooters, Saksa?
I think so, yeah.
Have you
I did
played
play.
what?
I played like Counter-Strike like 1.6, like a while later, like a team for like a year. We like there was like a LAN cafe here. We played like every day, like scrims and stuff even.
Oh, very
Yeah.
cool. I'm surprised we didn't play when you were on the team because I played a little bit with WeHop. Maybe it wasn't Counter-Strike though. I think he was playing Call of Duty or some garbage FPS game.
No, I
Anyway.
remember we were playing Counter-Strike. I think I played with him sometimes as well.
Okay, so you just avoided me. Okay, we'll get to that a little later,
Sure.
of course. Okay, so you said part of one of those games was Warcraft.
Yep.
And I assume that's how you played Dota for the first time, unless you switched. Did you started with Dota 1, right?
Yeah, I started with the one like way like in the beginning. I think it was even like I remember like like the old game where it's like all the recipes were like the TP scrolls and stuff. I don't know
How
if
do
you
I get
remember
wood?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I played like very much near the beginning. I remember playing Warcraft. Like one of my friends, we were like in first grade, and we didn't know like you could upgrade like the throne or whatever, like the main building when you start the game. We didn't know you could upgrade it, so we just play with like all the basic basic summons like from the barracks. The first guys like the footmen. We just played with the footmen and the archers, and that's it. We didn't know you could upgrade. And then like later, my brother came up with like, "What the fuck are you doing? Upgrade your stuff." And then we finally realized you could play that. So yeah.
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 Kind of learning on your own in games like that is actually hilarious because you start creating these meta games that are actually awful, right? When you actually play competitively, they just don't stand it. Like I had a friend that would only build towers in Warcraft, and he had like a 99% win rate or something insane, to the point where Frozen Throne came out and they nerfed the shit out of towers, and he takes it personally that it was all him, of course, doing that.
For sure.
So you have a brother then. How many siblings?
Yeah, one brother. He's like 5 years older.
Oh, yeah, we met. I think I met him at TI one year.
Yeah, he was DS6. So I
Okay.
probably met him.
So for Dota 1, was it just a casual thing?
Yeah. I mean, I remember in the LAN cafe, like everybody was playing it, and me and my friends started playing it, and it was pretty casual at first. Yeah. And I wasn't even like one of the best players or whatever. I was kind of like one of the good ones at first. So I don't know. It just started from there, I guess.
Okay. And then Dota 2 comes out, and then how fast do you transition over?
I mean, it took me a while. I mean, even Dota 1, Dota 1 was like a long time for me, honestly. Like I played like this for 5 years or something. And I remember playing in teams. I remember going to my first LAN at like when I was like 12 or something, or 13. And I just remember like my hands were shaking so much. Like I was, because we were playing like these old barracks. And the way I was sitting, like all the people were like behind me watching me. And I was like so nervous like the first 15 minutes. And then I was beasting like the rest of the game. But then we still lost because we played one of the favorites of the tournament. And my team was like not so good. And that was like I think one of the only LANs I lost in my country, because after that we played like a lot of LANs, and I got in like a better team. I remember going to like these LANs in like different cities. You don't even know if they're gonna pay you. Sometimes they just give you 1/3 and they say they're gonna pay you, but they never do. Like we would literally go to these LANs and we would just spend more money than we would make there. But it was like for the love of the game, and those times were like really fun.
Yeah, I think a lot of I mean, you're only you're 28 or something. How old are you, Sindren? You're 30, early 30s.
33.
Yeah, so I think we can. I'll pretend I'm around that age. We can all remember these more passionate days. So you were nervous at first. I feel like when Sindren, were you nervous in like your first LAN? Do you have any memory of anything like that? Even if it was just like a LAN cafe or something.
I mean, I think everybody is a little bit nervous on their first tournaments, right? It's the good kind of nervous. It's where you're like, okay, there's actually something at stake. You've prepared for it. You're meant to perform. I think the first LANs I played was similar story to him, right? It was like local Danish stuff. You go there, you play with your mates, and maybe it goes well, maybe it doesn't, but it's just a good time, right? But you're still nervous, of course. I think this whole thing with having people stand behind him and watch him play in his very first LAN, I think is very uncommon, though. So I don't know if you already had like a bit of a reputation or something that you were someone to watch, or how come people are actually standing behind you playing.
I mean, it was because it was kind of like a crowded place, and I was sitting like on the edge. And the team we were playing, like they were kind of one of the better teams, and most of the people were watching them. But on our side, like they were kind of all like behind me. And I think they kind of knew me as like one of the better players on the team.
You said you were 12. Was everybody else 12, or were they?
No. I mean, I remember back then, even when I was playing these tournaments, I was like usually the youngest one. I mean, the guys I was playing with were like either 5 years or like 10 years older or something.
But did you look like, okay, when did your growth spurt kick in? Because obviously, for people that don't know, you're 6'8", which I don't know what that is in meters. Yeah,
like 203 centimeters.
Yeah, so he's quite tall. When did that kick in? Like, when you were 12, did you look like you were older?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even when I was like young, I was like always tall. I didn't have like a growth spurt. I was kind of like just had like a very gradual like.
You just came out of the womb really tall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Born 2 meters tall.
Yep.
Did you ever play any leagues in Dota 1? Because obviously that's some of the memories that some of the old Dota players will have is playing in houses like Dota Pickup or Dota Invite or IHCS, these exclusive leagues back then. Did you get into any of that?
Yeah. I mean, I first started online Dota 1 like in G Arena, and that's where I played. That's where I got my nickname, actually, Saksa. And I played in like the local leagues. I played like the higher level leagues. Yeah, I played Dota Invite, I think that was. I played like these old IRC, like when you would connect and then you would find a game. And I played Dota Licious, I remember. I remember before Dota 2 came out, I actually started to like become like one of the better players. Like I even remember like at some point I got to play with like the pros, I played like 5 games and then Dota 2 the tournament came out and then I couldn't get like a key and I couldn't start playing Dota 2. So I was getting kind of close, but I never got there. So even like back in 2011 or something, 2010.
So how did the name Saksa come about?
Well, I remember I had like an old G Arena account. I don't even remember the name. And I put like a gold membership on it. And then the next day I got hacked. And the guy that hacked me, I messaged him and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And then he gives me like another account. And that account's name is Saksa. So basically I stole somebody's name, technically. I mean, the guy stole it, but he gave it to me,
Identity theft is no joke, guys. Don't.
That is the laziest story about how a player chose their name. I played on a stolen account and I just kept the name. That's literally the story. How?
I don't know. Like, I mean, it was like a higher level account, so to get into these like rooms, you needed to have like a higher level account. So I just kept using that one, and I don't know. It's like people started knowing me by that name, so I kind of just kept it,
Wait, this
Imagine
isn't
being the guy who hacked you, and then he sees you play pro Dota 2. It's like sucks.
I'm trying to remember how this works. I never played
funny.
G Arena, so there's no way to change your name. Then I take it easily.
I don't think so.
I don't think you could rename now. You have to make a new account.
In BattleNet, you could just change your name all the time, right? That's what I remember.
I think you had to make a new account.
Okay, maybe
as well, and just regular BattleNet.
Okay. All right, so it's a necessity to keep it, and then it just got to the point where people knew who you were, so you just kept it. So some random hacker out there is very proud of your career right now. He's like, I started this.
Yep.
Do you think he kept your name all this time?
I hope so.
What was your account called before it was Saksa?
I don't even remember, to be honest. I don't know. It was just
you have to contact him. He's gonna let you know.
I had like 3 accounts. I think at the time, like I just kept making like a new account because I didn't like my old name, so I made a new name and stuff. I don't know. Just kept changing.
Okay, so Dota 2 comes out. So I'm actually getting lost in the years here because you said you didn't start out with Dota 2. Like when it came out, you didn't make the transition right away. So when did you make the transition? Like what year would you say that was?
2012.
Oh, it's only a year later then. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I still kept playing Dota 1. The thing is, back then I didn't have like a good PC to play Dota 2, so I just kept playing Dota 1 because I had like a laptop or something I was playing on, and it was not good enough to run Dota 2, from what I can remember. So I just kept playing Dota 1, and like there were like many people that switched to Dota 2, and all the noobs were kind of left in Dota 1, so I was just kind of like beasting every game like for like a year, and that was my game.
Okay, so that boosted your confidence, and then why did you move to Dota 2? Just the regular transition? Was it you upgraded your computer?
I didn't actually upgrade my computer. I still played on the laptop, but I just finally got a beta key as well. Like that was the other reason why I couldn't play. I didn't have like a beta key. I didn't know like anybody to give me one, so I just couldn't get it.
How long did the beta do you remember, Sindren? How long the beta process lasted?
Well,
I remember it was August of 2011 is when it started, right?
Yeah, so we got access. So TI was in August, right? August 2011. And I think we had 2 or 3 weeks head start or something. So we might have got access in July, maybe. And then TI happened, and then the closed beta ran for months, for sure. I think the open beta wasn't until like mid 2012, if even, right? And then the the game was officially out of beta in 2013,
Oh.
right? That's when Valve is counting from.
Yeah,
And I think the reason they counted the game as out of beta then was that most of the heroes were in and the features that they wanted were in or whatever. So it was probably, maybe Saksa got in a few months before anybody could get in, maybe? I don't know.
what do you mean before?
You didn't get in through open beta. You said you got a key, right? In 2012.
Yeah, but it was kind of like, by that point, like I feel like anybody could get a key, because I didn't get like a key from somebody. I just kind of got it from somewhere. I don't know how.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was technically closed beta, but at that point, people had
There were a lot of keys.
access. Yeah. Okay, so you start playing Dota 2. Did you like it right away? Because I know for me, because I played Dota 1, then Han, then Dota 2, and I hated Dota 2 initially because the netcode was horrendous. Like everything just felt clunky compared to Han.
Yeah, I hated it as well. I couldn't get used to it. Like, the right click was different, right? In Dota 1, you had to like left click or something, like to move around, or am I thinking wrong? Because I knew something was like wrong the way the game was for me, and I just couldn't get used to it.
I mean, I did play Warcraft. I played Dota 1 recently on stream, but the
Yeah.
right click was the same as far as I remember.
Okay. Then maybe I was just imagining.
But there's a lot of
main
like little
thing-
stuff that
Yeah, the things that I remember, but that's way more specific. But some of the things in the beginning, at least, that would have maybe been fixed when you started playing. But it was stuff like Fog of War was being rendered differently, and maybe some heroes felt differently in terms of like fluidity with movement or spell casting.
Maybe it was like buying
Um,
stuff that was like on left click instead of the right click.
yeah,
That-
maybe.
Sounds possible, yeah.
Yeah, even
Because they did
moving
the shop completely
yeah,
differently.
moving items in your inventory was the opposite mouse key. I remember that because
Sounds right. Yeah,
that was something I
that's probably
struggled
what it
with.
was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So you
yeah, I
hated it
didn't like it.
first, and then you just kept playing. I take it.
Yep. Some of the people that I played Dota 1 with started switching to Dota 2 as well. And the LANs were all starting to become Dota 2. Even like this was still 2013, I was playing LANs back here still. I remember there was one LAN even, I saw Mind Control here. He came from Bulgaria to Macedonia to play a LAN here. And he knew me
Wow.
from like before, like we played like these leagues and stuff. And I just remember seeing him like in the front, we talked, he introduced himself. He said like after the LAN, he wanted to play 1-1 with me, Shadow Fiend mid. And I said sure. But then they ended up playing some team. They lost like 2-0, and he smashed his mouse and he just left. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's such a mild-mannered fellow now. That's cool. That's a cool backstory. We don't get to hear that very often. Are there any other players that you ran into before you made it as a pro, or is it just mind control?
I mean, I did play some leagues with some players, but like no, I didn't like see anything, talk to anyone.
Okay, so you're playing like local lands and whatnot, and then when does that next step up come? Because I know you used to like to grind MMR. I don't even know if ranked was a thing back then, though.
No, it wasn't. I think it wasn't, at least. Like, I remember there was like at some point I won like a 1-on-1 tournament, and I got like some big prize, and I was still in high school. And then I think like high school ended for me at some point, and I went to university and I just quit Dota. Like I just stopped playing. I still watched a bit, but I kind of like had given up on playing the game. And this was like around 2014, 2015. And at some point in 2015, I just quit university and I started playing Dota again. And I think it was like that moment when I quit university, and I don't know, I had like a huge argument with my parents and stuff about what I'm gonna do. They said, if you're gonna quit, now you're gonna be a shepherd and we're gonna buy your sheep, and that's gonna be your job here. And yeah, then I started playing, and it's like that moment, once it's like you don't have any other options, and I went to university, and I didn't want to work like a normal job, So I just started playing like more seriously Dota, I guess. It's like once your back is against the wall and you start looking at this game differently, I just started playing to just improve and to kind of prove myself, And I think ranked was a thing back then, and I just remember ranking up to like rank 1 at some point. Like I was like 6.5, and I just grinded like in 3 months, and I got like to 8K at some point. I was like the third 8K after like we had Miracle. And after that is like when I got to my first chance to join a pro team.
Was that 4 Clovers and Leprechaun?
Yep. It was 4 Clovers. I got invited by like Bambo to join.
Hmm.
Like one of the guys I played with in Macedonia knew him, and he talked to like the guy, and then he mentioned, and yeah, that's when I joined him.
So before we get into your pro career, I just because I know this is probably a little bit later, so we'll just backtrack or whatever. But at one point, you have to correct me. This cat is. Hey, get off the chair. You had how many number 1 rank accounts?
Like before I was a pro.
No, I think it was later. But you had like 3 or 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the ranking of EU or something like that, right?
I had 3.
How is that
I didn't
possible?
have 4. I mean, back then it was like the support leaderboard as well, so it was easier.
Oh,
It
was
wasn't
it?
like with the core. Yeah.
But when you were on DC, you played a lot of position 1 in pubs, and then you just played support in our officials.
I mean, up until like 2015, I always played like mid and carry.
Hmm.
Like I didn't play like support at all. And it's like even when I ranked up, I still played like mid and carry and sometimes offlane. But I don't know. It's like I felt like once I gained MMR and started like becoming better, I saw like support could be like way easier for me. I mean, I also got invited to like join 4 Clovers as the 5, so I feel like that's why I kind of gave it like a shot to play at 5 and see how it goes.
So I think a lot of people might not. The team didn't make that many big events, or it was also relatively short-lived. Who did you play with in that team aside from Bambo? Because I think many people won't recognize the team name.
It was Spycat, Bambo, EGM. There was a Serbian guy at the beginning called Swift Ending. And then we went to the LAN. That was my first LAN in DreamHack, where we played with Nikwa. He was playing mid. He was kind of an offlaner though at the time. And I was like the captain, and it was like my first LAN. Actually, before that, there was going to be another LAN. I remember there was like the Gaming Paradise tournament in the one that we now luckily dodged, but that was going to be my first LAN. Thankfully, it didn't go. And we went to DreamHack. We got 3rd place. And then we had like another LAN right after. We went to like Lithuania, and then it was like 2 parts. There was like the second part was in Russia, and that's when I got 2nd place.
And then the team split up. Did you get a better offer, or what happened? What happened after that?
I remember EGM left to join Alliance after. Think we made like a new team with me, Pyjamas, Bambo. I remember Yapsor was there, and there was like +1 called Mama's Boys.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We didn't have like very good results at the time, but tried qualifying for the Shanghai Major, didn't make it. Same for the Frankfurt Major. And I remember after, I mean, I wanted to keep playing with Pycat, and I really believed in him, and we believed in each other. But then I got an offer to join. Like we actually wanted to make a team first in NA because we felt like it was easier to qualify and stuff.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
And then I got an offer to try out in DC with like this was with Aoi, Bulba, Tiban, and Rezo. And we actually played. I remember playing in this team. We played like 30 scrims or something, and we didn't lose. We only lost like 1 game or something, and everything was going like super smooth. Like everything was going good. We were like even better than the previous DC team.
Well, that was hard not to do. We were fucking awful before that. Remember you playing? I've told this story a million times, but I remember I used to sit in their scrims. For people that don't know, that was my favorite part of being a part of DC. Was actually just being in the lobby and watching the scrims and listening to the comms and everything. And you played a lot of Tusk, and I remember after like the first 2 scrims, I was talking with Bulbo. I'm like, this is literally the best Tusk player I've ever seen. He's like, yeah, I agree. Like, holy shit, we found something here. And that team, even though we never played an official, I don't think, right?
No, we didn't.
AUI was playing carry, so he made a transition from support to carry because we made some changes and whatnot. And the team looked really good. Like the scrims, I mean, it's just scrims, but that's one of those like big what if moments. I know that things worked out for everybody in their own way, but I feel like, do you think that team would have been good as constructed?
I think so. I mean, I feel like it wasn't just that we won scrims. It's like everything was going really smooth. Like the communication that the team it's usually communication is like it's pretty bad until you get it better. But here it was like good kind of from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, everybody was kind of good in their position. Sometimes things just kind of click, But then, Artesian Universe decided to go to secret, and they screwed everything up for everybody else.
That's right. And yeah, when the money calls, that's when Bulba and AUI dipped. So we had to scramble to try to find a team. But yeah, I guess I've never heard your perspective on how that went, because for me it was obviously really stressful. But from your guys' perspective, I think like you guys ended up finding each other, and you weren't beholden to the org. So it was more like, I think the reason I was so stressed is because we didn't know if we were going to have a team, whereas you guys at least knew relatively early on that you would have 5, right?
I mean, it was annoying for us because the team was like very good and we really didn't want them to go to EG, but then they decided to go. And I don't know, I feel like I remember T-Ban also left to join to coach Secret, so it was just kind of me and Rezo left, and we didn't really know each other back then, so it wasn't like we were sticking yet. And then I remember I talked to Wiha, and he said him and Misery are gonna make like a new team. And he said like I got recommended by like some players, and we can try that. And then Rezo also was in the picture. And then we needed like a 5th player, and we were actually looking for a 5 because we thought Misery was gonna play offlane. In the end, he decided to play 5 and captain. I mean, we were considering actually Fogged at the time to play 5 for us.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he probably doesn't know it either, but yeah. And then and then Mood joined us for offlane. I remember he was playing like on Archon or something before. So yeah. And then we were looking for an orc, and I remember it was between DC and Cloud9 was also gave us an offer. And I remember Misery negotiated with with you or Tom or whoever.
Tom, of course. He fucked it all up, but yeah.
He got like a 0% cut.
Yeah.
Plus the salary.
Yeah, must be nice.
The other thing that the most important thing for us with DC was that you were gonna help us with like visas and stuff, and you were gonna help us with lawyers and everything needed. So that's kind of like the biggest reason why we felt to go for DC.
So you join, and we are shit initially, right?
Yeah, the scrims were not as good as the previous DC in the beginning. That's for sure.
I think wasn't who was it? It was Weehaw playing carry at first, and that was a disaster. Holy shit, that was so bad.
We were gonna have Weehaw carry first and Rezo mid, and then that did not work out. So we switched, and it immediately was like better. And I remember going to like the US for the first time. Finally got my visa and getting off at the airport. I remember you and Nikki picking me up. And I was like so hyped, just going from the airport to the house, and we were gonna boot camp there for like a month and stuff. And we were gonna play as the whole team. To me, this was like super exciting, and yeah, just very hyped to be there.
Yeah, so we got a team house. Actually, there's a video on YouTube if people want to check it out. I think it's just search for Digital Chaos House Tour. We got we had gotten robbed like a few months prior, so we were living in like a temporary house we ended up living there for like 3 years. But I guess that was a couple years prior. But anyway, we were living in this area outside of Phoenix. It's called Anthem. And it was on a literal golf course. It was a really nice area, but it's like so far away from Phoenix. It's like a 20-minute drive that things were actually not like expensive. So we rented a house that was like within walking distance kind of from our house. So in the same complex. And their house was nice. What did you think of the house and like all that stuff? Because you guys had a pool. You ended up sleeping in the same room as Weehaw, so you're the one that kind of got screwed. Everybody else got their own room.
I did get the big bed, and it's like I got like the master bedroom sort of. So it's like I remember just walking in the closet and I could not believe my eyes. Like this is like I thought this is bigger than my room back home, and like what the hell is happening here in the US? I don't know. It's just for me it was kind of like exciting because I had always like romanticized the idea of America in my head, and finally living in a house, with a pool and stuff, with like with the boys. I don't know. It was exciting for me.
It was fun for me as well. Yeah, I think like West Coast US, just everything is big, right? Just you have so much space. It's really nice. So okay, real quick, your American food assessment. I remember you not being super happy with a lot of the fast food that I would stuff down your guys' throats. Am I remembering correctly?
I mean, yeah, some of the stuff was just not good, but some stuff is really good. Like I like Chipotle and Chick-fil-A. I think were my top two.
Ugh. Chick-fil-A. I don't think we had a Chick-fil-A close to us, so we didn't go there. But did you, out of curiosity, because you're more introverted than the other guys, like especially Wihan Misery, who would literally take an Uber 20 minutes, 30 minutes to go to a club or something, because we were, like I said, on the outskirts. Did you like the isolation?
I guess so. Yeah. For me, what I didn't like about the US is like you had to take a car to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And to me, this was like super surprising because here I feel like I could just go take a 5-minute walk and I can go to any store or anything I need. Everything is like super in like walking distance. But here I was like so surprised that I had to go and drive everywhere too.
Well, that's because everything's so. I mean, that's the cost of having a closet that's the size of your house now, right?
Is it?
Everything's huge. I think it is great.
What?
Just get a license and you're fine. See, Cinderin is biased because he still doesn't have a driver's license.
Yeah, I don't need one. I can just walk 5 minutes to the store.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have one either.
Oh my!
Oh my man, this is
All right,
what I'm
Saksa, you
talking
need to
about.
make it your
All
goal.
right.
By the time you're 30, you need a license. All right? Don't be Cinderin. Don't be like him.
I thought I could maybe get it while I have my break here, but I haven't started yet, so we'll see.
Okay. Anyway, moving forward. So during that DC year, we struggled at some of the early, like the tournaments going into TI. I guess you can just take us through that since that's obviously a big tournament.
I remember we had to play qualifiers for the Manila Major. Qualified. I remember going to the Manila Major, and this was like the first time they had like business class flights, and they had like the really nice hotel. And I remember Pycat was our coach actually back then, and I just remember going to the breakfast at one point, and he was like, "Do not get used to this. This is like a one-time thing. Everything from here on out is gonna go downhill. The quality of the tournaments." And he was right.
That was the apology for the Shanghai Major. Because that was the first time I ever took business flights as well. And holy shit, it was a dream.
Yeah.
You remember missing the flight?
Oh, yeah, I do. For sure.
I was mortified. So I'll try to TLDR this. We were trying to make our flight for the Manila Major. And we got there. It was on time, but you had to put your baggage in like 2 hours before the flight or something, and we were like 10 minutes, like we were an hour and 50 minutes before the flight, something like that. And they let, I think, Misery and Rezo on the flight, and they said no to us, so they didn't even check our bags. And we're like, dude, they literally just went. This lady could have let us on if she wanted, but she didn't want to, so we missed the flight. But luckily Valve booked business again for us, but we had to wait a day. What can you do? Okay.
That was the first time I missed a flight.
Yeah, sorry about that. I could pop that cherry for you, I guess. Yeah, so keep talking about the tournaments going to TI there.
I remember we played the Manila Major. We didn't do so well there, even though it was kind of looking good at first. We got like 9 to 12 or something. Then we went home, I think, and then we played like qualifiers for like other tournaments. I remember there was like one period where we had one tournament 1 week in another country, then second week we have a tournament in another country. Like we traveled to Asia, like 2 countries, to like China and maybe some other place. And then we went back home to like LA for like another tournament. We had like a period of 3 weeks with 3 tournaments, I think.
Yeah,
this was like before TI.
Nanyang was one of them, if I'm not mistaken, which I did not go to.
There was like the Star Ladder like summit thing that ended up happening.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think there was another one, but I'm not sure.
I think Summit might have been the last tournament before TI, the TI quals, that is.
I think it was because I remember Wings winning that and going in, like Wings were looking like really hot going into TI because of that tournament, right? Because there was a lot of the really strong Western teams there, and Wings just ran them over, if I remember correctly, at that Summit tournament. Is that right?
Yeah, they had one Summit,
Yeah.
So, TI quals, do you remember that? Because I remember.
Yep. Yeah, I remember it was like... Don't remember what happened before the grand final, but I remember we got to the grand final, we played Complexity, we won the first 2 games pretty convincingly, and then we lose the next 2. And it was like, we're playing the 5th game, it was like some super intense game, like 60-minute game. I'm playing Phoenix. I just remember there was like 60 minutes, like at some point, like they had like an exposed throne, and we were like kind of pushing their throne, and at some point, like I just remember we are getting tossed into their fountain. on DP.
And Misery screamed at the top of his lungs.
Yes. This is like 5th game, we're playing for TI quals, like most of us haven't even played the first time, like there. And he's like yelling at the top of his lungs, like, you idiot, you fucking idiot, what are you doing? And at the same time, I'm like getting chased by like 3 heroes on Phoenix trying to survive, blinking out and shit, and it's like trying to maneuver, and I somehow got out, thank God. And I got out and I managed to buy like a refresher, I remember, back in the base. And yeah, but during the same time, it's like this whole yelling happening by Misery. And there was like some, then I remember I tried to push our base or something, and then they made some mistakes. And there was like some fights, and then I remember Weeha buying Boots of Travel, radding their throne, and we just win. And then I remember seeing like Weeha and Sunsman, like, I don't know, going ham in the back, like breaking the table or something.
Yeah, he literally knocked me over, hugging me. So much force. And Nikki was supposed to record that moment, but she got too caught up in celebration and stress that she forgot. So that was kind of
that's what I have to see, but yeah. And next moment I see Weeha in the pool. And like 10 minutes before that, there's like all this yelling and shit. So there's like all of these emotions going on.
Yeah, that was the fine line between staying friends and literally kicking him that day, because we would not have made TI.
Okay, one more thing. Like, since we were bootcamping DC, I just remember like Misery yelling at Weeha every single day, like it's for scrims and stuff, because of things that he would do.
So I have a theory. I talked about this before, and I think it's important to have, well, it depends on the captain, and obviously Misery could be hot-headed, but I feel like Weeha was obviously he made his fair share of mistakes, but he would own up to them. Like, he had no problem taking the negativity or whatever, like the blame, being the scapegoat. But do you feel like a lot of, like, instead of, if somebody can't handle being talked to that way, is it good to have that sponge that Weeha was? Do you think that he was the sponge, like just taking all the aggro essentially from Misery so nobody else has to feel it?
I think so. Like, I mean, I feel like if he wasn't there, maybe he wouldn't talk that way, because maybe he felt like he could take it. I just feel like Misery was like very driven because they just got kicked, so he wanted really hard to prove that they shouldn't have been kicked. So, and I mean, there wasn't like any beef or anything between. They were still like friends at the end of the day. It's just how the dynamic worked between them to like make the team better, I guess.
Okay, and then
I can understand if he's the captain and he has like a view of how to play and like all this structure, and Weeha is like literal chaos in the game, right? It was. I'm trying to remember. It's like, in the recent years, Topson has got this like reputation for being the crazy mid, but like a couple of years earlier, we had Weeha doing all this wacky shit, weird builds, playing different heroes, going way too deep sometimes. But he was like super high risk, high reward, right? Like, as much as he made really big mistakes, he made huge plays too. So that's what you get, right, with a player like that.
I mean, he was making a lot of mistakes in scrims, but I feel like when the game day came, like I feel like more often than not, he would play good back then. Like, yeah.
All right, and then tell us about TI 6.
Well, first, actually, funny story about Wings before TI. I remember like this was after like they won the summit, and there was like bootcamp for TI, and we were screaming them like a lot. Like, we were screaming like three games a day or 4. And I remember back then we were losing like scrims to everybody, but we were beating Wings. And for them it was like the opposite. They were beating everybody, but they were losing to us. And I remember one day we won the first game or something against them, or like the second. And we were supposed to play like another game. And then like I think Rezo messaged one of them, and then the guy was saying, we need to cancel, they are fighting or something. Like, they were fighting between each other after their scrim. They lost to us.
Yeah, we talked to Jack about this, and he said it was a literal fist fight. But that apparently was like the turning point for Wings to really turn it on even more than they had prior. But yeah, we were shitting on them. Like, every time we were shitting on them. And I remember we played a lot of Weeha Magnus in the mid lane. And then we never picked it in TI, I feel like. Or we didn't pick it at all against Wings for some reason. I didn't understand why, but I don't remember any of the details anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember.
So then into TI we go, and we're massive underdogs, of course.
Yeah.
Let me, before we go into this, do you remember the turning point at TI? Because I feel like I have one in mind, but I don't know if it's the same for you.
I remember it was one of the days, like, it wasn't like the first day. I think it was like the second or third day. I remember we lose the first game and we have like far more games to play, and we had like a talk or something. I mean, this was like the first in the group stage, and then we just win the next 5. Like, we just had a talk, and then something clicked, something changed for us, and we just started winning like most of our group stage games. And we ended up like second place.
I don't remember when it took place. I just remember a very specific moment where we were down big in a game, and Rezo was playing Morphling, and he backdoored like their towers and started ratting them as Morphling, and we won that game, and it was super hype. And I feel like our momentum like shifted completely from there, and from then on we were like the big dogs in a way, at least mentality wise.
And then we ended up playing Winx in the upper bracket.
Yeah.
We lost that series, and I don't know, we were kind of like choking our brains out. Like, I feel like, the whole group stage we were playing like kind of to win. We were like not scared at all. Then it was like our first main stage game at TI, and I think we were just kind of nervous. That's kind of what it was, and we just ended up losing. I just remember losing that series and like going out, and because it was kind of familiar, because the same thing kind of happened to us in the Manila Major. Like, I feel like we lost some games and we started to feel like the same way. I just remember like Misery slapping like the door or something. He was like super mad, and after that we had like a talk, and we decided like, we don't need to feel this way. We just need to kind of like play like not scared, like play to win, like have fun with these games and not be so nervous. And then we played like LGD in like the lower bracket. I remember it was like 2 kind of close games. I remember I played like Wyvern 1 game. I was kind of beasting the game, and we ended up winning that game. Then we played TNC. It was like this was after they beat OG, and we ended up winning against them 2-1. And then I feel like after that we had like so much momentum going at it. Like the e-home game, we were like super prepared. We went 2-0, and then I think the same day we played Fnatic, and then we beat them 2-0 as well. And then that was like the last day we play EG lower bracket final. Okay, funny story before this. Like my first LAN we played in DreamHack, PPD was there, and I remember Pyka telling him like, the next year this guy is gonna be your rival. And then we go to TI, we play lower bracket final against them. I don't know if you remember the games, but they were super close, super hype. Like some third game, like Moo ratting, like them trying to throw us but couldn't succeed. And then we end up winning like in the end. It was like super close games. And to me, I don't know, this was like, it felt like a movie, at this point. Like with this shit in my mind, like what happened, like the talk, and I don't know, like I had made up all these storylines in my head. And now we're playing TI final. And a year ago I had just quit Dota and stuff. And now I'm like in the TI final. And yeah, then we crumbled.
Then we picked Slark mid, and we lost the fucking series. I think we won game 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think it was actually going kind of good for us. But, we win the first game, and, we win the first game, and I feel like after the first game we were kind of arguing. Like, I feel like that's kind of the moment we lost, Like the first game, it's like we're kind of arguing, and it's like kind of negative vibes going on in the team, And the second game, I feel like we actually made some drafting mistakes there. I feel like, in hindsight, people look at this final now in the tournament and they're like, oh, Winx, they're so good. Like best team in the world. But in reality, these things are not that, like, they're not, they're kind of closer than it looks. I feel like in the second game, if we drafted like something's better, I feel like it could have been like, I think we could have won the game, and then it's like 2-0 in the final. Anything can happen.
Do you think?
I also think like.
Do you think we were overthinking it as a team at that point?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, I just remember going like after the games, there was like a lot of silence. Everybody was like once again, people like nervous, Like before, people play like they don't care and they're just kind of play the game, and now people are like nervous again because we are getting close to the goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember. Maybe I shouldn't say this. Let me think a second. So one thing I was not very good at back then, like I know what we needed was kind of maybe the life coach is not just somebody that just calms everybody down. And I don't think I did a good job of that in hindsight, but I think that's because there was some resistance, let's say, so I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. But yeah, I could feel like the pressure mounting, and the thing I wanted to like convey to everyone was that we shouldn't be here anyway. There's literally no pressure. No one thinks we're gonna win. It's like the underdog story, right? I feel like that kind of mentality is what we needed to have in the finals, and after game one, it just was completely lost. I don't remember any of those games being close after game one, but that might just be like me remembering it incorrectly.
I mean, the third and the fourth game, they were definitely not close. It's because things shift in a fast way. Like, they're very snowbally effect. Like, I've said this before to like my teammates and stuff. Like, these LAN tournaments, and especially these big stage tournaments, like anything can have a very snowbally effect. Like, once something negative starts, it's like people start to feel bad. Like, they start to not play. Like, they don't want to make mistakes. And it's the same for like when good things happen, Like, people see like us like last year, with Tundra, we won 3-0, and it's like, oh, like nobody can beat them. But it's like, because we never let the negative things start and snowball. We always kept if there's something negative, we kind of like move away from it, and we go back to like the good things, and we kind of let it snowball again.
Okay, so talk about post TI now, or whatever you want to talk about. Like the feeling of losing, getting second place. Like, was it? You still felt good, I'm sure. I think all of us felt pretty good.
I actually had the mentality back then is like, if I win TI now, I'm gonna leave the team, because back then I felt like, yes, because the way I thought about it was like, anybody that won TI back then, like they kind of like quit, like they're gone in like the next year in Dota, like they're kind of like bad now. So I was like, I don't like. It's kind of good that we got second place, because now it's like, now we can still be good, and we can still play together and still try to win. So we had like a goal still in mind.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, TI was over, and there was like a lot of the shuffle stuff. And I remember I almost joined Secret, actually. And
after TI?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is news to me. Go ahead.
I don't know. It was funny. It's like the TI, like after TI, and I remember going outside the hotel talking to Puppy, and you see all these small crowds. You see some bulbos looking around trying to get info and everything. There was Koro talking to Miracle, and then that's kind of when he kind of snatched him for Liquid. And there were like some OG people going around, and all these people trying to I remember Misery and we got like all this offer to join like all the best teams, like Liquids, OGs, and like Secret and blah blah. And I mean, I decided to stay in the team because first of all, I didn't want to stay, because I felt like, because we got like first to second place now, that we're gonna get like complacent, and people are gonna stop trying to win and stuff. So I felt like maybe it's good to make a change like before that happens. And I ended up deciding to stay. And we did get complacent, and we did get lazy, and we stopped trying to win, and the team mood kind of completely changed from how it was at TI.
I don't know how much I had to do with that. Probably not that much, but like the whole Tom and versus me situation was not good either. He moved you guys out towards him so he could hang out with you, because now he liked the team all of a sudden because you guys did well at TI, and I was basically completely disconnected. Nicky had already been gone from the org, so it just felt like a different organization, which was sad. But
yeah,
you did win the trophy behind me that I stole now. Thanks for that, Saksa.
You're welcome.
That. That's the ESL one Genting.
And yeah, I mean, that was mostly on the players. I don't think it's like, you can't help people like try to be better at Dota. It's like they need to want it themselves. So
we had kicked Moo for Moon Meander.
For Moon Meander, yeah. Yeah. I was probably one of the bigger reasons for that, to be honest. And in hindsight, maybe it was a mistake. At least it was a mistake to kind of like kick a person like that, because at the time I was like very driven to like, I need to win no matter what, and I need to get the best factors in. And I felt like the reason for like the move, at least from my side, it was like because he was kind of defensive when I tried to give him advice and stuff. And yeah, in hindsight, maybe it was a mistake. Not sure.
I don't know. From my perspective, everyone but Misery was wanting the change. And I don't even know if it was a play. Like, I think it was a personality thing. It just didn't fit he literally had his. This is nothing against him. Like, I remember Lumden was the coach, and it was basically a coach for Moo, right, at TI, and he helped him a lot. But Misery had not wanted none of it, right? So it's just like different ideologies, I guess, different personalities.
Yeah, That's also when Blitz came into our team as a coach.
I almost forgot that because I was so disconnected from the team at that point. That's right.
Yep. And then we played Boston Major. I remember we got 4th place. We were actually doing kind of good at the beginning, but then we kind of choked versus Atfinem. And they had all the momentum, and we just didn't play well. And they ended up going to the finals. And then I remember we played ESL Genting at some point, and we were kind of like the underdogs, I guess. Again,
this was the first tournament in 7.0, right? I think so. First big tournament.
Yeah. And we played this in like Genting, so it was like high in the mountains, and there were like a lot of people coming, and it was like super hype. We played some. I remember we were playing in the finals against Newbie. We were like down 1-2, and then we ended up winning 2 games, 3-2, and it was like some super close games. And that was like my first LAN win, so that was hype. And then happened like my worst travel experience by far, where I had to, instead of going home in like 15 hours, I went home in like 3 days.
I don't remember this.
Yes. You do or don't?
I do not remember this at all.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like I missed my first flight because the VP guys were late for the shuttle for like 20 minutes, and then we go to the flight, and they say it's like when they overbook tickets, and it's like we don't have a seat, but we have a ticket or some bullshit, you know. And then I can't get on the flight. Then I have to go wait for the next morning, go to a hotel or something. We need to wake up at 3 a.m. to go on the flight. I go on another flight. And then that flight gets delayed, so I go to Istanbul super late, and then my next flight is like missing, and then I had to wait in line for 6 hours to get my flight transferred, and then I can only leave in the next morning. And I don't know, I was traveling for 3 days, and it's like the worst part is like you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know if you're gonna leave now, and you're gonna, I don't know, it was super bad.
Yeah, travel's actually the worst part of anything. Okay.
Yep.
So then we get on to Planet Odd because DC falls apart, right?
Yep. I mean, the DC thing is like it wasn't even like gonna happen. Like, but I don't know. At some point, like Misery just writes in the chat like we're leaving DC. You know, he just had a talk with Tom, and that's it. We're leaving because I don't know. Like there was like some drama about the salaries he didn't like pay out or like whatever. As he scammed. So we went to Planet Odd, and I don't know. These guys were like they offered us a lot of money, like compared to before, and also they were like super nice, honestly. Like even after like we didn't qualify that year for TI, they still wanted to keep the team and shit, and they wanted to like. And we had like a deal for the next year, and then when people didn't want to like commit to the team, like then they had no problem letting us leave. You know, they didn't hold us under contract or some shit. But yeah, we go to Planet Odd. Actually, first we were Thunderbirds. We played at the Kiev Major. We got last place, and then we were Planet Odd. We go to. I remember we went to a LAN in China for Galaxy Battles. We got second place. And after that tournament, Bruno or like whoever, someone from Valve tells us that if we got first place, we would be qualified for TI through points. But because we got second, now we're not. And they tell us after the tournament, you know.
Oh,
so now we have to like qualifiers. And this was like the qualifiers, and like, and then there was like the new DC team. There was like the Eternal Envy team, like the NP. There was like the one Team Freedom team that was also doing well. So Complexity, and there was like all these teams. And we ended up losing, and we were kind of shit back then. And yeah, we don't go to TI that year. And we actually, before TI, we played a LAN. This was like the last time we played with Planet Odd. It was like 4 teams, us, Liquid, Secret, and +1, Empire maybe. We play in the final against Liquid. And at this point, we're like kind of basically disbanded. You know, we're just playing the LAN. Now we're in the final. We are winning the first 2 games against Liquid. And then I don't know, we start arguing or some shit, and then we lose the next 3 super
Typical.
fast.
Yeah.
Yep, and another second place. Yep, and then TI7 comes, and I remember I was coaching actually Hellraisers back then.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Oh, true. I remember this now. Yeah.
Yep, last place.
Good job.
That's when you started hanging out a bit with 33, right? If I remember correctly, was that year?
Yeah, that's when I met him for the first time. Like Milan invited me to a team. He was like the only one I knew. I remember the boot camp in like the Summit House. I was with them. yeah, the team was not doing so well. Good job, coach. Yeah.
Did you
There's
learn
only
anything?
so much you can do.
Yeah, did you learn anything from being on that side?
That I shouldn't be a coach.
Okay, well,
I
that's
should stick to playing.
Do you think? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna go on from like that point.
Okay, I was just gonna ask, do you think that experience you had back then had an influence on you playing with 33 later, or were those two things completely disconnected? Like, did you make some sort of bond at that time that eventually made a difference a few years later, or was it just chance?
I think it was kind of just chance.
Okay.
I want to say it was like because of that, like we ended up playing later. It was like different reasons, I guess. So yeah, TI7 ends. Everybody's like on their own way, like they're joining teams, blah blah. And I just remember back then I had like no team options. I don't know. I remember making a team with Wiha, Cancel, Timado, and Wiha playing 4. I remember I met like 3 mid players, and yeah, the team was just full on disaster from the beginning.
Isn't it crazy? Like, did it surprise you? Because it still surprises me from all the time where a player's stock can just drop so fast suddenly. It's not like they've gotten worse. It was just like a bad situation on a team. And like now you're not wanted by everybody. It's so insane. Like you're still just as good as you were 6 months prior, right?
I mean, I don't know. I felt like back then they were like, I think Misery and Rezo had like the highest stock, I guess, of the players, and they just, I don't know, Wiha started like he wasn't doing so well like after the next year or something, and me, I don't know. I guess people just didn't think about me because I was kind of like low key. People don't know me very well, so. And back then I only wanted to play 5, I remember, and most of the teams already had like 5 captains, so it was kind of hard to get a team. So I was kind of stubborn also about playing 4, but at some point I switched. And yeah, we make this team mid our feet. This was also like probably my worst year in Dota. Like it was just terrible. We make this team. It wasn't doing so good, so I'm kind of like teamless after I leave. And at some point, I'm asked to stand in for Optic. I remember, Misery had actually joined Optic with PPD and stuff, and it did not go well together at all.
That's a shock. Yeah, wow.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, I remember Pyket was in the team, and he invited me to stand in for them for like 2 tournaments. There was like one in Malaysia, and then the other one was the Summit. And I remember I played with 4 for them in Optic. I even went to Sweden to bootcamp with Pycat just to play from there because I didn't have good internet back home. And we play some qualifiers from Sweden. Then we go to Malaysia. We get 2nd place at this LAN. It was like some super close final again. And then we go to Summit. And we didn't do so well there. We got like some middle placement. And they asked me like if I wanted to stay on the team and play 4. And I was like, I was kind of stupid. So I said no. I only want to play 5. And I left the team. And then they invited like 33 to join Optic after. And then he was originally playing 4 and Zai was playing 3. And then we made like some team with like, that was the team where like Echo International or something, or Team World.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was
a mix of, you had players from like 3 or 4 regions, right? And
it was like me, Anna, Forev, Kaiser, yeah. Kaiser, and originally it was SVG, but then Chuan came in, and he came with like the sponsorship offer, and we could play in China, and then we went to China to play from there. And holy shit, that was a miserable experience for me. Like we just went to this house, and I was kind of alone there for like the first week or something in China, all alone. There's like, I don't know, all the time ordering food, and it's like only fast food. And yeah, it was pretty bad. I just remember it was so cold in the house. I remember when I came, it was like 12 degrees inside the house. And I for like the first few days, before people started coming over and they started fixing it. I remember I was playing like a t-shirt, a sweater, and like a big ass jacket just to play pubs, And I remember I came there, and the first 24 hours I just played pubs. And then I went to sleep. Like I just fucking blacked out. And I stood there. I lived there for like a month and a half. We were super terrible. We were like losing to like some tier 4 teams or something. And yeah, the team there was no future there. So I left again. And yeah, the team quickly kind of disbanded after that. And then Anna went to play for OG for like T8 qualifiers. And I played in the Blinkpool team. We got like some 3rd place in the T8 qualifiers. OG was the one that won that, and then they won the year after.
Mhm.
It's kind of crazy that like Anna was playing with me like before in that team, and then a few months later he won TI with OG. So
It's two
crazy.
TI winners on the same team, and you guys were apparently awful. That's crazy.
Yep.
That's so crazy.
I mean, it really goes to show a lot about how important team dynamics are. I think people always, when they see rosters announced, they're like, "Oh, these players are amazing, therefore this team will be amazing." But there's just so much going on behind the scenes, right? Like in theory, a team like Echo could have been pretty good, right? The reason you all joined up was that you believed in the players, right? But it's very complicated.
I mean, I remember like we switched captains like 3 or 4 times. Like one guy tried captain, then another guy tried captain, then another guy. And it's like we just tried everything, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, T8 qualifiers comes. We play with Blinkpool. Didn't go so well. And yeah, T8 happens, and then the post TI shuffle is happening. And this was probably like my lowest point, like where my stock was like the lowest. Like I could not get on any team. Like I tried, like I even tried to play like the complexity team or something with Envy. I asked him, he didn't want me to. I remember there was a Tigers team with like T-Ban and stuff. And I asked to join them like a couple of times, like to play like with them in Southeast Asia, and they didn't want to play with me.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy.
Yeah,
I would have taken you if I had a team, Saksa. I promise.
Thank you. And then I was very desperate, so I was like, fucking nothing is happening. I decided like I'm gonna try my luck with anybody. I messaged PPD, and I don't know. I thought he would like say no immediately, and then he said like he's interested. I was like very surprised because I thought like they already had a team or something. But yeah, I messaged PPD, and then also Fala and Ace actually talked to me, and then we kind of ended up making this team. And then PPD also talked to 33, and he wanted to play with him, and that's kind of how this team started.
So that's Ninjas in Pyjamas, right?
Yep.
And how was that experience?
It was pretty good, especially in the beginning. That was like the first major was like the KL major. We qualified, like we did some boot camp. We were doing pretty well. I mean, I guess most of the bigger teams weren't playing back then, so we kind of got like a free road to the major. And then 33 couldn't play because it's in Malaysia, So we had Mind Control standing for us when Liquid wasn't playing, And he was absolutely beasting the tournament. We got like 4th place. And I mean, I remember we were playing like a EG for like the top 3, and we won the first game, and the second game is like some 97% win percent to win, and we somehow managed to throw that game, and then we lose the next game as well. So that was pretty sad. Yeah, and then we went to like a minor. We didn't qualify for the major, and then we lose that one. Then the next major we make it. It was like some Stockholm major. Get like some top 12 placement. And then right after it was like the minor in Dota Pit, like Croatia, where we managed to win 3-2, some super close finals against eHome. And this was the eHome back then with like with Zinkyu, Zhao8. I think Zhao8 was coach, Fate Beyond and Innocence and stuff. So like the old Wings players. So they were on eHome back then. We went through to go to the Paris major. We got top 6 there, so also pretty good for us. Then the next qualifier, we got to another minor. It was the Starlighter minor in Kiev, and we also won that one. 3-2 against super close finals versus Alliance. And then we go to the next major after that, and we lose, unfortunately. And I don't know, I feel like at some point, like there was talks about kicking some people in the team. Like I think after like the 3rd major, and that it didn't end up happening. And I feel like there was just bad vibes going on in the team. And we go to TI9, and this bootcamp was like super bad. Like the morale was like non-existent. We were like losing game after game. And yeah, I don't know. We go to this tournament, and this atmosphere was like super depressing to play. I think we won like 3 games or something in the group stage. We got like last place. And yeah, this band after that.
The old not great result at TI disband.
Yep.
Okay, so then mean, this is going to intermingle with like COVID, I think, and shit, right? But then there's the OG. How did they approach you?
So, I mean, after TN9, there was like some talks about joining some teams, but again, like I feel like most shuffles, my stock was like super low from at least what I consider.
From one tournament?
No, just in general, I feel like people did not like think I'm very good or something, and I feel like I don't know, I kind of took that personally, and I was kind of annoyed, but you know, it's like obviously I'm biased, so I believe in myself and stuff, so who knows, maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I couldn't get on like any team. Like there was like one talk about making a team with Fatherland 33, and actually it's like kind of funny thing now, but at that point I didn't want to like play with 33 so much after TI9. Yeah, because I actually didn't like, I don't know, I felt like there was like some things he was lacking in his gameplay. But you know, like actually when I joined Tundra and we talked, like I feel like from when I joined Tundra and I saw how he played, like I feel like he grew so much as a player during that time. Like I feel like, you know, people didn't believe in him and he started like getting so much better, and all the things he was like maybe not good at, like I feel like he improved so much. So he was kind of like such a better player, and he was kind of like a leader in like that Tundra team. So yeah, after TI9, like I don't join a team at first. Like I decided like, you know, not to play if I'm not gonna like, I didn't want like another mid or feed situation, you know. So I don't play for a bit, and then I get a message from Notail, and they was to join, like potentially join OG, and they said like they considered me or Crit actually at the time. So I was just hoping, you know, Crit is not joining, so I would join. And then he tells me like I'm in, like, and then like 2 days after that, like I get a message from Secret to like play with them for like the major, the one that they won after, and to see if like things like work out, like for potentially, they said potentially more. So I don't know if I should say this here, but it is what it is.
So the offers all came flooding in all of a sudden.
Yep.
Huh?
When it rains, it pours, you know. So yeah, joined OG and joined with like a mid one and Somail. And in the beginning, like things were like crazy good. Like I feel like the team was clicking so much. Like we went to this boot camp in Paris, and I don't know, I feel like the team was super good. Like we had all these talks before. We were living like in the same house for like a bit, like some Airbnb. And Seb was coaching back then. And we were playing this Crimson, like we almost didn't lose a game. Like everything was going so good, you know, for us. Like there was like some new patch, some new heroes came out. I remember we played the qualifiers for the LA Major. We won those along with Secret and NIP, I remember. And then we go to LA Major. We're boot camping there, and then this fucking COVID shit happens.
Yeah.
And the major gets cancelled, and we're like we went there ahead of time to boot camp, you know, like quite a bit.
Well, at least you got to get Chipotle, right?
I think I did. I'm not sure. Yeah, and I remember this COVID shit happened, and then the day before we were supposed to take the day we were taking our flight back, there was like some huge Red Bull media shoot, so we did that for like the whole day, and then like we were rushing to our flights. So yeah. Yep, and then COVID happens, and we're just kind of stuck at home. And then we started playing some online tournaments. I remember during this COVID shit, we still tried to boot camp, like, you know, in Portugal, like in Hotel's place. And everybody else got there, but I couldn't get there, you know. I tried to go there, and then they sent me back here. And they were like boot camping without me for like some few tournaments in the beginning.
What do you mean they sent you back there?
Like, I went to the airport, and they didn't allow me to take the flight during COVID. But the others, they could join because they were like in the European Union, and I wasn't. I mean, mid one technically kind of wasn't supposed to be let through, but they somehow let them through. I don't know how. I mean, later during COVID, it was like still the same rules, but I tried to fly through Bulgaria, and that worked. Like I went through Bulgaria to Amsterdam and to Portugal, and they let me through. But at my airport, they didn't let me through. So
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, some stupid rules, and yeah, kept going back and forth during COVID and the bootcamp. We played all these tournaments, and I just remember we couldn't manage to win a single one. We got like a lot of second places. And this was like when Secret won like 8 in a row or some shit. So yeah, they were like super dominant. And I remember at some point, like, Sumail got kicked, which, to be honest, I wasn't really kind of happy at first about it, because of also kind of how it happened. But yeah, he got kicked. There was like some changes made. Mid one started playing carry, and Seb was in. And I don't know, the team also kind of wasn't clicking at first. Like we weren't doing so well. And then like it was getting close to like we did play like the first DPC. Like we couldn't qualify for the major. And then mid one got kicked, and Anna came into the picture. And he came to the boot camp, and we started playing with him. But we also like didn't manage to qualify for like the second major as well.
Mm.
So like the mood of the team was kind of like low. And yeah, Anna like decided maybe it was like kind of mistake, like playing again, and then he took a break like after he didn't want to play anymore. And I remember we were like, we needed a player again. Sumail comes back into the picture, and then like this TI bootcamp happens in Denmark. Now we changed locations, and I mean the prep was going really good, and it was like some super close games. I mean, the first actually we played Tundra in the winner bracket. We got stomped super hard, and we had some talks, and we started like to change some things. Then the next day we played Enigma. We lose the first game, and then we win the next two. And then we're playing the best of 5, super close grand final, like 5 games. And that was like probably the most tiring games I've had to play, honestly. It was super hard, but luckily, we managed to win. We managed to qualify for TI. It was like the big one as well. And yeah, we were like super happy. It was like after we played for like a year or something in OG, and we had like no results, and it was like going to these boot camps and stuff, and it was pretty hard, honestly, during this COVID time. So yeah, we were super happy to make it to TI.
God, I almost forgot Sumail was even on OG. That COVID makes everything so weird.
He was on OG twice, Shannon.
Yeah, I know. 2 different stints.
How could you not remember one of the times?
Okay, so what result did you get at TI again? It was like top 6 or something?
Top 8.
Top 8.
Lost the spirit. Yeah.
Is there any feeling after you lose to somebody like that and then the tournament's over, like, oh, at least we lost to the champions? Or it doesn't
not really,
matter?
Honestly. I don't know. You feel like if you could have done better and you could have beat them, then they're not going to be the champions. Because I don't know. It's like now they look back at it and it's like Team Spirit was like super dominant, but I don't know. I feel like that team, like we kind of crumbled at some point. Like we were actually doing pretty well, like even before TI. I mean, first of all, it's another story. Like, but before TI, Seb had like this problem. He needed to get surgery for his eyes because they said like it's a really bad situation. If he doesn't get it, he could go blind, and that we would potentially play without him. And then we were talking to like Mind Control about standing in, but that didn't happen. And we kind of waited for like 5 days, and we are in our boot camp. We were waiting to get a player. That didn't happen. And then we get like Mika to play with us in our boot camp. And then he comes, he's like boot camping with us, and then Seb gets better during this stuff. So in the end, we're not gonna need a stand-in, but we boot camp the whole time with Mika. But then we go to the tournament, like we're still like doing really good. Like I don't know, the team, like in the scrims and stuff, everything was like going super well. But I think there was like a series against EG where we were winning, we were like stomping them like super hard, and then we managed to lose the game. Like we threw the game, and there were like some big arguments on that team, and that's kind of when the team kind of like crumbled, because we were before that I feel like we were kind of doing pretty good, but yeah, then we
was there anything different about being on a team that had just won 2 TIs? Like did you feel any added pressure or anything like that from external sources or even from within the team?
Not from within the team, but maybe pressure I put on myself. I think there definitely was, because I feel like always the feeling I had within the team was like, if like these guys, they won 2 TIs just now or like recently, so if there's something going wrong, it's probably my mistake. So I always I had the mentality of only improving, like I never looked at my teammates' mistakes or anything like that. If anything happened, like I was only like, I just want to get better, and like that's the only thing that matters. And I think something I learned a lot in OG is like the winning mentality and what it takes to win. Like I feel like something that helped me a lot in it, like is like playing with these guys and learning how they think, how they approach the game, and like how I don't know, like mainly those things, I guess. And I would say that helped me a lot, like going into like Tundra, I guess.
Mm-hmm. All right, so take us through that then.
So yeah, TI10 is over, and the team is kind of like done. Then once again, I feel like I couldn't get like a very good team. I think the only person I was kind of talking to was like actually Quinn back then. It was like he wanted to play with like him, Kezu, Yawar, and SVG potentially. But sorry, Kezu, but I didn't want to play with Kezu. That was my reason why I didn't want to join the team. And
Harsh.
a bit Yawar. Sorry. Yeah, I feel like Quinn was like the only guy I believed in the team, but I feel like I didn't believe in the other guys so much, and then I didn't end up joining that team. So I just didn't join the team. I at first. I actually messaged like the Tundra guys. I messaged Fala if they needed a new 4. This was after TI10, and he said they didn't want to make any changes. And then like he got kicked, and I joined instead of him. So yeah, that's the story. I joined Tundra, talked to 33, and I just remember talking to him, and because he felt like he knew before that I didn't want to play with him, so he asked me like now if something has changed or like if I still feel like that. But I think like from what I saw him playing and stuff, I felt like he improved a lot, and I felt like he's a lot better, and I was definitely right. I think Tundra, like I joined, we played the ESL major first in Stockholm. That was the one where we got like top 3, and I mean we were like doing really good in the group stage. Like I think things were clicking quite a bit in the beginning. We'd get the like some 10-1 group stage or something, like very dominant. And then we get to top 3 to the winner bracket. We play TSM. We win the first game, but once again I feel like we win the first game, but I feel like things were like I feel like I was putting a lot of pressure on the guys because I felt like people were kind of nervous at those games. And look, it was like the first time in front of a crowd for them for like quite a long time.
Yeah, true.
And I don't know. I feel like the mood was kind of low, and people were like kind of scared to play, And we won the first game, but we kind of ended up losing the next 2 because the mood was shit. And then we play OG lower bracket, and they had like all this momentum going in, and we were kind of like mentally down, and that was a rough one.
Top 3 still pretty good.
Yep.
Would you, just real quick, for Tundra, would you say it's the nerdiest team you've ever been on?
Yeah, probably.
Can you explain to the audience what that means exactly?
I would say like this team is like the one team that talks the most about the game. Like like you see in the Discord chat, there's always like messages about stuff and trying stuff out, and like all these things. It's like how when a patch comes out and it's like there's all these changes listed.
Mm.
It's like we like in the team we would like people would always like check the changes if they're actually there, because 50% of the time like they say a change is there but it's not there, like they didn't change anything.
Right.
And there's also like the unlisted changes, so you need to go and you need to check those things manually yourself. So there's like a lot of these things, and there's a lot talking about like the micro stuff in Dota. I mean, I think that's like also the reason why we won TI. I feel like that year, like the last year, we were like the hardest working team by far, I think, out of everyone. Like you see the ranks on people, like everybody's like very high rank. There wasn't anybody but like below 100. A few people in like top 10, and people are just playing Dota all the time. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So AUI, do you think he started that culture of the nerdiness, finding every little mechanic in the game to try to abuse? Or are there other people just like him on the team to begin with?
I think there was probably there to some extent, but yeah, he definitely enjoys that shit, so he's into it. if there is anything that needs to be tested, AUI is on the case.
Yeah, it's a good guy to have.
So 33 got this reputation at some point for being like super obnoxious to play against, mainly on these micro heroes with summons and whatnot. Do you feel like that was always a strength of his? So you said that some years back you thought he had some weaknesses as a player. Was that always a strength, or was that one of the things you thought he improved on a lot, was like controlling the lane in specific, which
I think
many
that was
think he's the best at?
I think that was his strengths always,
Okay.
like the micro stuff. Like that was like the one thing that he was always good at. But I feel like something that maybe he wasn't good at before was like knowing when to take fights and when to use his timings. Like I feel like sometimes like he would farm and he would like, instead of using the timing, he would keep farming like way back in the day. But now I feel like he improved a lot on that, and he was a lot more vocal and stuff. He was like more of a leader, and he would be doing it from like a core role. And yeah, I mean, he knew how to like play the game like a lot better.
All right, go ahead and continue.
So yeah, we get top 3 at the ESL major. What happened? Then we played like the first major, like that didn't happen right that year.
Yeah, that was the online
Yeah.
major, whatever the hell you want to call it.
And then we go to Riyadh. We needed a stand-in because Neda couldn't play 33. Yeah, we got like next to last place. Then we're going to and before that we were playing like the DPC, like the 6 week. Like this was when we boot camp for like 6 weeks, like some people at least for like the whole 6 weeks. Then we go to Saudi, and then we go to like US for like the tournament again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was like a lot of travel, and then we go to the Texas major, and I feel like there was just a lot of burnt out. Like people were like very tired, like playing for like 2 months on the road and stuff. So we just felt like we needed kind of like a break. And yeah, we didn't do so well at the Texas major. Then we have like a break after that for TI. This was like the first time I took a vacation in like 7 or 8 years in Greece. Thank God for that, but because it definitely helped. And yeah, took a vacation. Then we had a boot camp for TI in Singapore. We came there like 3 weeks before the tournament or something. And I mean, the boot camp itself, it was like really good, like the location and stuff. And I think the games were actually going really well for us. I feel like we had like some really good heroes that clicked for us. We were like on the raid pack shit, from the beginning, because people didn't know it. Haha. Yeah, I mean, things were going really well, like playing wise. Then we get to TI. I remember the first 3 series we had where like we lose the first game and then we win the second game or something. And I feel like in the beginning, it kind of like reminded me of some teams before where there's like things are not. I feel like people are, again, were nervous. It's TI. It's like for some people it's first TI, and like I don't know. I feel like the energy was just not good. And I felt like like from what I remember before, like I know like this good, like the bad things can snowball very fast. So I like the first 3 series we draw, and like the second game comes, and we're playing the first game and we're like losing the first game, and I'm like, holy shit, we're gonna fucking go, like we're gonna get last place again, it's gonna go to shit. And then like I don't know, like there was at some point they even had like a speech because I felt like people needed to like kind of.
You had a speech?
Yeah, I mean that was the first day after like the third game or something, because I feel like people were kind of nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, small speech. It wasn't like a SEP speech or something like that. Don't worry. But yeah, I think like at some point things switched. Like the second day, like we lose the first game, and then we win the next one, and then like the second series is like it was like some super 2 tough games, but we managed to win them like in like a good way, like through playing good. Like it kind of sounds stupid to say, but it's like when you make the good moves and the moves you're supposed to do to win the game, and it works, and that's when you kind of gain like a lot of confidence. And like there was like the talent series, I think we won, and then things just kind of like again start snowballing in our favor like super fast. Like we started to gain a lot of confidence, and it's like the next day we're playing these group stage games, and it's like we're playing with so much confidence. We're like trying stuff we didn't play before. I'm playing some Undying 4 against Secret. and we're like stomping these games, and it's like everything is just clicking, you know. And yeah, then is the main stage.
And you're trying not to get distracted by the sound issues that they were having, right? I remember there was some drama with people being able to hear stuff on stage. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, there was definitely
felt
some shit
any of
like that. Yeah, I mean it was kind of there, but we had like also like a psychologist with us to help.
Mm.
And we kept talking about a lot, you know, there's going to be a lot of these distractions and shit is going to go wrong, so just expect it. And it's kind of what we did. I remember we had like some discussions like about playing like OG or LGD because we were like first place. We could choose our opponent. And I mean, we can't, like we had like some talks. We wanted to coin flip, and then people changed their minds, and then we changed, like some people wanted LG, some people wanted OG, and then we ended up choosing OG. Skidder wanted to choose them mostly because we felt like we were going to beat them. And yeah, we chose OG, managed to win against them. They were kind of like close to disbanding or something at that point. Like they weren't doing so well within the team. We win against them. Then is the Aster series. Yeah, another 2-0. It was like, I remember like in these games, like even when we were 6K down, like after watching the replay, and it's like in the game, we don't feel like we're like down in net worth, you know. Like we were playing with such confidence that like we just needed to win one fight. That's like the mentality we have, and then we're gonna win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, you guys are known for gaining a lead and then never losing it. Like I don't think there's a better team in the last couple of years at doing just that.
Yeah.
Is that like a conscious decision or?
Yes. I mean, I think we worked on mentality a lot during the bootcamp, like a lot. Like I'm telling you, like we worked so hard during this bootcamp. Like we had like a schedule we wanted to keep. Like we would do things to make the atmosphere in the team better. Like we would every one of us would wake up at 8 a.m., have breakfast together to like kind of like just start the day off together, you know. This was like a team routine. And we would do all of these things. We would talk about communication a lot. And we would see these other teams, like they would be playing these games, and it's like some high stress games, you know, TI games, and they're like yelling and shit, and they're like super crazy. And in our team, it was like super calm. Like we were even kind of make fun of them, you know, like look at them panicking, like, you know, the sirens are going off in the team, you know. And in our team, it's like super calm, super collected. Like we're just waiting for them to make mistakes and to punish it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's one of the biggest reasons why we won TI. I feel like we were mentally the best team out there, like that tournament for sure.
All right, so keep going through the tourney.
Yeah, then we get to the winner bracket final, and there's like this huge break, 6 days. I hated that shit.
They're doing it again this year.
Good job. Yeah, 6-day break is like kind of like kills the momentum a bit, but it's whatever. Playing some scrims against Liquid and Aster. I remember we lost like some scrims against Liquid, and then there was like a bunch of this Leshrac shit coming out into the meta, and it wasn't there so much before. And we were like trying to beat it, like, and trying to play it ourselves. It wasn't working so much. And yeah, then we get to the main stage. We play Secret. I remember the first game. It was like some 70-minute game. I was playing Tiny, had like Giant Ring, and it's like playing TI main stage, and it was like, I don't know. I felt super relaxed, and I don't know. I was really enjoying those games, and I think that's kind of what helps you like get into like a good mindset for that. And
nice, relaxing main stage TI game. That must be nice.
Yeah, it was. We won the first game, some super 70-minute game. Then the next game we end up losing, and like I feel like there was like some discussions after, like people weren't feeling good and stuff, but thankfully like we kind of switched again to like the good mindset, you know, like once again like you see things drifting into like the negative thing, and it's like we kind of switched back to like once somebody started feeling down, we brought them back up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go into the third game and we managed to win. I don't even remember what I played, but yeah. And then now we're like in the TI final, and it's crazy. Like, you know, 7 years later, I feel back in the TI final, and the only thing I can think about is like now it's like I'm gonna play like the best Dota that I can, and I like no regrets after. Like I'm not gonna feel like shit. Like I'm not gonna like feel like I could have done better because I felt like that in TI6. So no matter what, win or lose, I'm gonna do my best. Yeah. And then the next day, we're watching the Secret Liquid games, and we're kind of like preparing for Liquid, honestly, because the game was kind of looking pretty bad for Secret. And then in the end, they start making some comeback, and then it's gonna be Secret again in the finals. And yeah, then this like they started doing like the mic preparation for like True Sight. Like you think like before the game you're gonna have like 1 hour, but it's not 1 hour. It's like you have to do all these mic preparations. They have to put like the mics on you, and you have to sign some chairs. And this other thing, they do like a ring size checker for you. So it's like in case you win, like the check for like the fingers, like for what size you need, you know. So I feel like that kind of messes with some people's heads, you know. Like you go before the final, you're already preparing for the ring, and it's like, while this is happening, we're like telling each other, guys, like forget about this. This is not happening. You need to fucking go and learn this.
I feel like that's almost rude. Rude is the wrong word. Like, why not wait until the winner has been found and then measure the fingers? Because the players stay until at least the next 2 days, right? Like there's the after party, and maybe they fly home the next day, maybe not. But you could, you know. Do you think that's part of the charm almost? Like the whole stress?
I feel like they didn't think
really
about it too much. I think they just wanted to be like efficient because there was like different people doing it. So maybe they had like some other jobs to do. So they just wanted to get it out of the way. But it can mess with like the players' heads. But thankfully for us, it didn't. Yeah. Now waiting for True Sight. Hopefully it's gonna come out or something. I don't know. But
maybe they should just also make a second place ring. So then it's like, you know, then it, you know.
Did you get your ring?
Measure it for all the players, no matter what.
No, I haven't. I mean, they're supposed to give it to TI, right?
Oh, yeah,
I'm not gonna be there.
Okay, yeah, I see.
But I'm not gonna be there, so I don't know. Somebody has to bring it to me, I guess.
So grand finals.
Yep. Preparing, like, feel like we were really well prepared, like, and like once again, like we just made sure we're like mentally level, like we're not like over emotional, over hyped, or like too scared or something to play. Like we made sure we're in the right mindset going to the first game. Like we get like, I feel like they got pretty outdrafted. Like I don't know, they had like some full magic lineup, and they had like some Tide with like some pipe and like all this shit, and we crushed the lanes. Like I don't know, everything went right the first game pretty much. And then once again, after every game, I feel like we were telling each other, like, you know, it's just the first game. Like, you know, it's like some people might get ahead of themselves, but you know, in our team is like we always made sure to stay like emotional level to be prepared for every game. Then the next game, like it was kind of like it wasn't looking so well for us, but we just ended up playing. I don't know. We just ended up outplaying them, and we played the map better and stuff. I know people now look at these grand finals and say, "Oh, right back, they just won because of right back." But I feel like they need to actually go and watch the games and look at the Dota and what happened and why we won these games. Because there was like a lot of games like we would be behind, but it doesn't matter. We outplayed them. It's not just because of these items.
It's also like the item wasn't only there for you guys. It wasn't a secret anymore at that point. Like maybe you can surprise people in the first couple of days of groups or whatever with an item, but then other people catch on, right? Everybody knew what it was, what to do, and they just, you know, you were just better with it. That's playing the game. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know. People is like sometimes like one guy says something and it sticks, and people kind of keep repeating the same thing over and over. But I feel like sometimes you need to actually go look back at these things with like a clear eye view and see.
Yeah, but doing that is too much work for the average player, Saksa. Wraith Pact OP, it was deleted from the fucking game. Yeah. Obviously, it was too good. And only you guys used it properly, apparently.
Yeah. And then we win the second game. I don't know, I just remember even telling people, even after the second game, like, you know, don't get too ahead of yourselves. It can happen like with Team Spirit, you know, like they lose the next 2 games, like could have easily lost the fifth one as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you gotta make sure you like stay on the ball in these things. And it's like the pressure is on them, you know, so you just kind of like play your game, enjoy it. I think like there was even like a moment like in the last game, like we were playing and something, and it's like there was like some huge fight happening, like a lot of like spells happening, and it's like we just kind of ended up surviving with like very low HP, like me and +1. And I don't know. I just remember like enjoying the game so much. Like I think he even said the game like fucking love this game or some shit. So yeah, to me it was like really important to enjoy these games because you may never be able to play them again, and that's kind of my regret. I feel like I was super nervous during the first TI final, so I made sure during this one like I'm gonna enjoy these games as much as I can.
That's good.
So yeah, you win TI. It wasn't how I imagined it would be, to be honest. It was like a different feeling. The feeling I just had was like, is this it? It just happened. But yeah, super happy, and it was my dream for like the longest time. And I don't know. At some point, I decided in my head like I want to be the best at something in the world, and Dota became that. And I'm glad I was able to do it. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember running into you in the back halls right after the win, and then I was told 5 minutes later that I needed to be on stage apparently, and I was wearing shorts and flip flops. So very very organized production there. Yeah, that was. I mean, it was a 3-0. You guys dominated. Definitely deserving of the title. I was happy. I was gonna be happy either way because Rezo was on the other side. So somebody from DC. Oh, AUI is with you, so I guess you guys had the number advantage anyway. Yeah, definitely happy about that. Okay, so take us through this last year, which has been very up and down for both you and Tundra.
Yeah, I feel like first of all, I feel like this last year it was like the schedule, the way it was like the worst year I think I've played professionally so far. Like there was like a big break after TF for like 2 months or something. And then I feel like once we started playing, we never stopped. Like we played the first DPC, and then there was like another tournament we played after, like some Bed Boom tournament. And then there was the major right after, and then we come home and it's like you have 2 days, and then you're playing scrims again to prepare for the next DPC. And then there was the Dream League, which was now like the year before in the same time it was like just one DPC in like the 6 weeks. Now it's like the same DPC plus the Dream League stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like it was so much. I mean, to be honest, I feel like I'm not trying to blame like what happened to me on that, but I feel like it also didn't help. And yeah, the second major we played in Berlin, we got top 6, and the third DPC comes, we get like first place, and we get like enough points for TI. And it's kind of like what was my goal throughout the whole year. I just wanted to make TI and Riyadh and qualify for both of these events.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like after that, I kind of like, I don't know, something changed. Like I feel like I was kind of done. And then we go to Bali. And this is like when this shit happened to me, where I was feeling like mentally super down. I mean, we land in Bali, and the first night I couldn't sleep there at all because I don't know, like I'm kind of sensitive to like noise, especially like some noise from some machines and stuff. And we go there, and there's like all this noise that you can't like turn off and shit. And I couldn't sleep. Like the first night I couldn't sleep, and this was like after like a super long flight. The second night I sleep like only 5 hours, then I'm changing rooms. The third night I can't sleep again, like in a different room. So I'm going on like 5 hours of sleep in like 3 days. And at the same time you're doing media days, and you have to like, do all this makeup and shit. You have to smile, you have to like play Dota at the same time. So it was like, I don't know, in the same time, like in my head, I can't like, it really just goes on and on and on in my head about like how bad I'm feeling or how I can't sleep. And it's like, I don't know, just all these negative thoughts and emotions going on in my head. And I was just in a very like deep hole, and I couldn't get out of it while I was there. So I had to quit.
So is this something that's happened to you before, or is that the first time?
Not like this. Actually, during TI, like the one we won, like I felt like there was like some points where I had to see a doctor or something because I was feeling like shit. But it was kind of like something different. Also, I also couldn't sleep back then, but I don't know. I like only couldn't sleep for like 1 day or something. It wasn't like more than that. But yeah, something like this hasn't really happened to me, I guess. And I mean, that's also kind of why I was kind of panicking, I guess, inside or like whatever, because like, why the fuck is this shit happening to me? It's playing some like, whatever tournament we already qualified for TI. This tournament, to me in my head, this tournament didn't even matter at all. And yeah, I don't know. I just felt like complete shit, and I couldn't like mentally. I was like so out of it.
So Bali, you fly home, AUI takes over, right?
Yeah.
And you guys did well at that tournament still, didn't you? Or was that a different one?
Yeah, they got top 3.
Yeah, top 3. What was it like watching?
I don't know. I was happy for them. I was proud. I'm happy to see that they could, do so well. Thought maybe I'm shit now, Not yet.
Okay, and then what happened after that?
So there's like the Riyadh tournament coming right after, right? So I had like a week or something home, and I wanted to see like a psychiatrist to talk about this stuff because I had never seen a psychiatrist before this in my life ever, and I couldn't get an appointment like anywhere. I tried to talk to people and I couldn't get it, and I was like thinking like whether I should play or not, and I was like going back and forth. In the end, I started feeling better, and I thought like maybe I can play it. It's not going to be the same and stuff. And we go to like boot camp in Poland for like a week, and I was feeling kind of fine. Like I was feeling like normal. And then like we go to Riyadh, and kind of like similar things start happening. Like I couldn't sleep like at night. Like I don't know. Like I started after talking like about this stuff, I went to see a psychiatrist. Started to realize I have like a little bit of OCD. So now I understand why this stuff is happening. Like I can be sometimes like obsessive in nature. So it's like when these bad things start happening to like all this anxiety started filling up, and like all these thoughts about like my sleep and stuff. Yeah, I just similar thing happened in Riyadh to what happened in Bali, and yeah, I felt bad that it's like kind of like an important tournament, and I had to go home. But I just decided like I can't. It's better they play without me, like, and then like I don't know, I kind of stay there and like try to suffer through it.
So we talked we did a content piece together, which I don't even know if it aired. I didn't get to see any of the content anyway. But you seemed fine. Like, is that just like you acting fine?
Yeah, sometimes.
Huh. I'm just trying to. So it's lack of sleep and just overall, like, do you feel stressed as well during this time? Or is it just like you absolutely cannot sleep and it's just miserable?
It's like I don't feel stressed about playing, It's like that's not like what's happening. Like in Bali, like the tournament was like whatever. I could be like get last place. I don't care at all. I don't know. Like I felt stressed like about traveling and going to these hotels and shit, and I don't know. I feel like at some point I decided in my head I decided like if there's some like a lot of noise in my room or something, I can't sleep, and that kind of fucked with my head. And that way of thinking. It's also like because something like this hadn't happened to me before, and I was kind of like this shit happened in Bali, and I didn't really have time to kind of recover from it all, and to see someone or talk to it and try to understand what is happening, So yeah, I just it's like the thoughts about sleep, and it's like just had like I just didn't feel comfortable even going to my room to sleep at night, It's like, and just in general.
So it's like this vicious cycle where you're just thinking about it constantly, and it's just making it worse by thinking about it, right?
Yeah, and then I even get frustrated because I think about it. Like, why am I thinking about it? And it's like, it's like a never-ending loop and cycle, and like, yeah, I just didn't know how to stop it.
Appreciate you talking about this. I think talking about this stuff, for some reason, like it's not something that I've ever had to think about because I haven't had issues like this before. I've had other issues, of course, that I'm very vocal about that maybe aren't as serious. But so you're seeing a psychiatrist now to try to help with that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you feeling progress?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I mean, compared to where I am now to like a month ago when I came back, it's very different.
Mm-hmm.
I also started exercising a lot, and that stuff is like a lifesaver, Like I feel like in the past 8 years I haven't had like no exercise, and when I was younger I was playing like sports and stuff all the time. So yeah, this stuff is helping, and talking to people, and yeah,
that's great.
For sure.
So just so obviously let us know if there's something you don't want to talk about this, right? But now that you've mentioned that the psychiatrist helped you understand, or at least get some sort of insight into the whole OCD aspect of things, is that something you only experienced with sleep, or did you start seeing patterns in like other things that you did in your everyday life where you were like, oh wow, I'm actually doing this and I didn't even think about it, and now there's like this, how to say, realization that helps you deal with it because you start understanding other things that were happening to you?
Yeah, I did notice like some patterns about some things, like when I would like obsess over like whatever. And yeah, like you said, like I didn't think about it before, and it's like I didn't even know I'm doing it, and now it's like you understand, like that's why you're doing that, and that's why you're thinking this way. So yeah, that kind of realization does help a lot for me.
That's good to hear.
Okay, so you make this announcement that you're not going to participate in Riyadh anymore, so you fly home, and then Tundra doesn't do well this time without you. And then going, like, when did you have a discussion about TI? Because you guys were already qualified, as you said.
Yeah. I mean, the most important thing for me is like I don't want the same thing to happen again. Like I don't want to leave, like the guys like in this last moment, like like I decided like I'm gonna play TI only if I feel like I'm at 100% and I feel like I can play. But I felt like during this time I feel like it was better for me to focus on my mental health like a bit more. And I feel like there was something somebody said actually on my Twitter. They said like when you have like these type of problems, it's usually better to get like it's usually good to get ahead of time on it, like to try to solve it first instead of like trying to kind of like ignore it and try to fix it later. So I decided like I'm gonna solve this first, and then we'll see later what happens, And yeah.
Okay, so Tundra ends up announcing that you're still technically on the team, I think, right?
Well, actually, I'm gonna be like sort of coaching, like a bit, like I'm gonna give like some advice on some things, like during TI now from home. Like just gonna watch some of the replays and stuff and give like some input, and I'll try to help them that way. But yeah, I'm gonna like be coaching them or whatever from home, I guess.
Okay.
Sort of.
So, okay, that's interesting. So kind of like what OG had for a while when they couldn't get other players to travel or whatever. So did you know about the Thompson stuff? I'm guessing you did a decent amount of time before everyone else.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Because we had a discussion that they could just try to find a 4. Because when you were replaced by AUI, he actually played 5 and Snaking moved to 4.
Yeah.
And we figured, to make the least disruptive changes possible, it would just try to find another 4. What's the reason for getting Thompson and having 9 switch to 4, which is, I would think is a huge transition, but you can correct me if I'm wrong.
It definitely can be in like a short period of time. I think they wanted to get some 4 initially, and they were like talking about options. And there were like some options about getting some players from other teams, especially ones that are qualified for TI. I don't know if I should say this here, but yeah, we almost disbanded like a lot of teams. I can tell you that.
But it didn't happen.
Yeah. It didn't happen because Valve can enforce the rule that the teams that are qualified for TI can't make any changes. So
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know, there was just, I guess there weren't like a lot of 4 players available, sort of. And I wasn't there, but at some point they had a talk, and they talked, and 9 or like whoever said like he can play 4. And I feel like that option is like only viable if the guy if 9, he thinks he can play 4 and he sees himself play it. Otherwise, like it's not gonna happen. And yeah, he decided I guess he can play. And there were like some options about like Thompson or Sumail or someone playing for mid. And yeah, they got Thompson. And yeah.
So have you been coaching 9 specifically then?
Yeah,
on the
we
role?
had the same question pretty much.
A bit, yeah. I'm giving like some thoughts and like some advice on some stuff, like small stuff. And
so you're still actively watching their scrims, or is that just from a like broad perspective?
It's like I watch their scrims like on my own time. Like I feel like sometimes like when I want to exercise at some point, like I say I have a schedule, I go exercise first and then I'm gonna watch them because I told them like the way I'm gonna do this is like I'm trying to get better first, and then like if I have free time, then we'll do it. And yeah, that's kind of how we're doing it. But yeah, mostly helping like maybe some stuff, and mostly like talks about like playing mid game and stuff like that.
Do you think? So obviously, it's going to be really different how players who play 2 play 4. Do you think there's something about 9's player identity that makes him a good candidate for the role? Like something, the way he thinks about the game or the way he plays his heroes or something like that, compared to other mids?
I think the position 4 role is like kind of the role that has like the most freedom, I think, in Dota. And I think he is kind of someone that can strive in that. I feel like if you give the guy a lot of freedom, he can make a lot of good stuff happen. And I feel like he can thrive in that sense. So I think that would be one of his biggest strengths.
And I guess the last topic before we get on to the trivia is what do you see in your future? I'm guessing you still want to play.
I don't know. I've thought about it a lot, and I was actually initially gonna take a break after this TI, like anyway, because I felt like I actually wanted to take a break after we won TI, but I kind of decided to like play one more year, and I was gonna take a break. But I think like I'm not done in Dota. Like I feel like there's still a part of me that kind of like left things like unfinished, I guess you could say, and I might play more. I don't know. Maybe I might not. I might just retire. It's like I don't really know that much in that sense. Like I'm kind of like just living in the moment, and we'll see what happens. And yeah, other than that, I guess I've had like some investments and stuff, and I'm kind of probably gonna be more involved in that. And
weren't you doing like a farm or something? What was it again?
We're gonna make a winery.
Oh yeah, winery. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Oh, there's like 3 businesses we have, and the winery is gonna be like the 3rd one. But yeah. So yeah, there's a lot to be managed, I guess, and I can be involved as much as I want, but I can also play Dota. But right now, I don't know. It's like for me, it's like kind of nice to have like free time for the first time in like a long time, and kind of like enjoy life and do things, because I feel like when I was playing, I couldn't do that so much. So
yeah.
I'm just kind of doing that, just having a life and just seeing where it goes. But yeah, making a winery.
So
Very cool.
what do you spend your free time on then? Like if somebody, this is something that I don't know how much we've talked about this, but obviously when people go hard on Dota, they go really hard. This game takes everything out of you if you want to play on the top level. So is there something you always wanted to do that you're like, oh, now finally I can do this? Or is it just, like what do you spend your time on then?
Playing Epics. No, I mean, that was also kind of something I was surprised about. Like you have so much energy going to this game and so much time you spent all these days playing. And now it's like I have all this energy, but I don't play Dota, so I don't have something to put it into. So it's like I'm kind of like I need to find things. Like otherwise, like I'm kind of like super bored. But yeah, I mean, I was furnishing my home. I bought like a TV. This was my first time having a TV, a PS5. I was playing some games on it. I was hanging out with friends, and I'm like exercising every day, like walking or running and stuff. And yeah, climbing ranks in Apex. I'm gonna be an Apex pro probably soon. So.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, he's good at shooters, Shannon. Maybe you should try to get this guy on your CS2 team.
Yeah,
I hear you need some boosting for your atrocious rank.
Yeah, my rank is pretty awful.
It would be really funny if you calibrated and just got higher than you. I really want this to happen,
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. Do you have any other topics that you want us to discuss before we get on to trivia? Because that's all I had written down.
I guess not.
Okay. Well, appreciate you being open with like the mental health stuff. I think that's been a taboo in the past for some reason, like I said, and I know it's not the easiest thing to talk about. So appreciate that.
Yeah, I definitely think people should kind of like take care of themselves more before they get into a problem. Especially, I feel like this year, like the way this year was, it was like so intense, and I feel like there was going to be a lot of players that are going to be like burnt out. So they need to take care of themselves.
Yes.
Also, shout out to Pycat. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. What did Pycat say?
I don't know. I just felt like I need to mention him because I feel like he was one of the first guys that believed in me, like a lot, and I feel like it helped me a lot during my career. And yeah, just wanted to mention it.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to say I think the message for everybody that has some sort of thing they're struggling with, the mental health of not letting it get to a point of critical mass, I think is really good to hear from you as well, right? Because like people will often think someone who's at the top of any field is living the dream or is immune to certain things happening to them because we have this like idolized or idyllic view of the world where, all right, if you're the world champion, everything must be amazing, right? But it can happen to anyone and for any reason. And the fact that you are not, how to say, I really want to commend you for choosing not to play, as weird as that might sound, because I think it has to be for a lot of people a really tough choice to make. But the fact that you're looking after yourself first and foremost, I think is a really good move. So I just wanted to say that. And I think that's really inspiring, and that other people should consider that in whatever they do in life, not just, pro gaming or whatever. So
Yeah, thank you for that.
that's good.
Agreed. Okay, let's get on to some trivia to end this episode. Cinderin, this is a binary question. Saksa could not come up with 4 choices. Did Saksa win or lose more LAN finals?
Lose.
Is this true?
That was too fast.
I mean, you did give us a really good detailed breakdown just now, so that was probably a bit too easy, I guess.
Yeah.
You went over, we got second again, and then we got second again, and then we got second again. Oh.
Yeah, the first thing he said when I saw him after the TI win, he's like, finally, finally, I won. Like, yep.
If you would have asked me before this episode, I think I would have had a tough time answering, because I remember your wins as well, right? So it would have probably been kind of close. Do you know what the stats are?
I think I've won like 4 LANs, and I just remember in the first 2 years of playing, I lost like 5 or something, and then I kind of lost count after that.
Okay. Lost count.
It's a nice problem to have, to forget how many second places you got. That's pretty nice.
Saksa, how many siblings does Cinderin have? 0, 1, 2, or 3?
2.
That's incorrect. I have one older brother. It's actually similar to you. He's 6.5 years older than me. And the whole experience of growing up with a PC and playing games and whatnot is very similar to yours. Like, he would get a computer, or he would have the bigger room, and then we would play together on the PC in his room. So it was very, very similar for me.
In my case, I'll be like waiting for him to finish so I can play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were kind of taking turns. It was the same thing.
Cinderin, what is Saksa's favorite fruit? Banana, peach, pear, or fig?
Did you come up with these 4 options yourself, or did Shannon give any of them?
No, I came up with it.
All right, then it's fig.
It is. What the hell?
How did you know, Cinderin?
Because nobody would suggest that one as one of the 4 unless it was the real one.
That's true.
Maybe I made it too obvious.
He's metagaming you. My goodness. Figs are amazing.
Like, if Shannon came up with the answers, it could be anything, because he's just pure chaos with these questions. For you, there's probably some logic.
That's true.
I see.
Saksa, which of the following drinks can Cinderin not stand? Gin and tonic, Guinness, grappa, whatever the fuck that is, or whole milk?
Wait, can I ask what is grappa first?
It's a byproduct you get at wine production. It's like a 40% pretty strong alcohol.
And the grappa, I guess?
No, that is incorrect. I cannot stand tonic water. It is terrible. It is the worst drink in the whole world is tonic water, and therefore I don't like gin and tonic either. I just can't drink tonic water.
I was not going to guess gin and tonic.
It's
so I guess I'm
awful.
really bad at this.
Absolutely awful. I mean, to be fair, it would be really random if you knew this about me, so I don't blame you.
Yeah, this is where Cinderin's really scraping the barrel with questions, because we've asked so many for him over the years.
Every time we have a guest, I need to come up with 2 new things. So unfortunately, we've been through a lot of the better ones. I was going to say good, but I probably haven't made a good one.
No, there has not been one good one.
I mean, I had trouble coming up with like 3 questions the first time just now, so I can understand.
All right, last question for each of you. Cinderin, how did Saksa fracture his foot? Was it walking down the stairs, handball, aka playing handball? Did he get into a fight, or was he skateboarding?
I'm going to say handball.
Yes, that's correct.
Wow, Cinderin's so good.
I guess the other ones were kind of ridiculous, so I don't know.
I don't know.
I would have guessed walking down the stairs, because it's so ridiculous that I just had to choose it.
Yeah. I was just thinking, how would someone who's coming... It's the similar to the previous questions. Like, if someone's coming up with answers for this, would they think of handball as something you would get a foot injury from.
I mean, I
You know?
originally thought like playing a sports game,
Yeah.
and then he kind of convinced me to change it.
I convinced him because he put skateboarding, which is technically a sport.
That is also, yeah.
I mean, I said playing a sports game.
Yeah, you can't play a skateboard game, Shannon. Maybe in the US.
There's probably
Not in
points
Europe.
involved, I
We
think.
don't play skateboard games
So
here.
tell us the story about how you fractured your foot.
It's very boring, but I remember like I was like attacking, and I jumped at some point. And my jump is like super short, like very small, like 1 centimeter jump. I jumped, I slipped, like I fell on my foot. I didn't even think I fractured. I thought it was like some normal, like I just hurt. I couldn't stand up.
Mm.
And one other thing I remember is one of my best friends laughing his ass off in the stands because he thought I was like making this shit up. And when I was like walking, like crawling back, I don't know. But yeah.
I thought he was laughing because he was like, "Why did you jump? You don't need to jump." You could
No.
I mean,
I just remember him laughing.
How bad was the break?
I had like it wasn't too bad. It was like, I don't know, it was just a fracture. Like it wasn't too bad, but I was like, I needed to wear like a cast I was supposed to wear it for like 3 weeks, but I wore it for 2 weeks, and then like for like a month after, like it hurt, but it wasn't too bad.
See, that's a more legitimate way to break your foot than me. The only time I broke a bone was I went to a LAN party. And
Oh.
I went to a LAN party.
That's the story. That's it. Just no words.
Went to a LAN party at somebody's house, and they wanted to pull a prank. I don't know. I didn't know these people very well. They wanted to pull a prank on somebody and get into a big box and ring their doorbell and spring out. So in order to do that, we had to get into their car to get to the location. And it was a pickup truck. And for some reason, people were hanging on the back. So I hung on the back of the pickup truck, and then he started going. So I'm like, holy shit, okay, I guess I'm holding on. And then halfway there, as he's driving, I put my foot over the railing because I want to try to get in because I'm fucking scared. And then he taps the brakes and then hits the gas again, and I just do a somersault off, and I fracture my ankle. So that was fun.
Fortunate it didn't get any worse than that.
Oh, it
glass half full way of thinking.
Well, my ankle now, my ankle, I got a concussion as well, and my ankle now makes a cracking sound every single time that I take a step. Like, I can't sneak up on Nikki, which I love to do, by the way, just scare the shit out of her, but she can hear my ankle cracking every time as it's like walking towards her.
How have I not noticed this? I've walked next to you a lot.
Because we're outside usually. And it's more obvious when I'm not wearing shoes because that's going to insulate the sound.
I see. Okay, so you need to walk barefoot. Okay.
It's easier when it's barefoot. Anyway, that was just a random story. All right, Saksa, what is Cinderen's dog's name when translated to English? Is it tomato, carrot, leek, or onion?
Oh, he has not watched the guest episode, Shannon.
He has not.
Carrot?
No.
Incorrect. 0 for 3, where Cinderen went 3-0. This is the biggest blowout, actually.
He's well practiced. What can I say?
Yeah,
I really prepared for this one.
What's the answer, Cinderen?
It is onion.
I was gonna go onion.
It's a beautiful dog's name. Beautiful. Translated as Loy. Correct? Loy. All right, that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you, Saksa, for joining us. Really appreciate your time. Is there anything that you would like to say to your fans and, well, your haters as well, maybe? Anybody out there?
No, just want to say thanks. And it was nice to see people support me, especially when I had some hard times. And it's crazy to see how many people like come out to say nice things. So thankful for that.
Yeah.
And
keep going. Sorry.
And support Tundra TI.
Support Tundra TI. All right. Thanks, Saksa, again. Appreciate you being so open about everything. Hope for the best for you as always, because as I've talked about publicly, when I've talked about the team many a time, you were one of my favorite players. I think you're the easiest person probably that I'm trying to think, is that out of all the people that I had to manage, which I guess in the end isn't that much since I only did it for a couple of years, but you had zero drama, very easy, like easygoing. The only thing that you complained about was food occasionally, and that's because you don't like sugar. Apparently, it's fine. We'll get over that at some point. But yeah, you're a good guy. Appreciate it. Thanks for making us put you on the podcast. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, I also want to say thank you for everything, and thanks for bringing me to the US for the first time.
Yeah, I adopted you.
And showing me Chipotle.
Yeah, Chipotle, not sponsoring this episode
He
yet.
Actually, he actually didn't like Chipotle that much. It was just the only food you gave him without sugar. Like, oh, this is the best. You know?
That's right. All right, until next time, Suns fan Tundra and Saksa signing out. Peace.
Bye-bye.
We say things that don't mean anything, but thanks for listening.
Subscribe.
Yeah.